Hey folks, it's a great day for it with a 20-year campaign to pass the Regulatory Standards Bill expected to come to fruition this afternoon. For a long time, politicians have passed laws while hiding the true costs on New Zealanders and their property. That will end with the Regulatory Standards Bill. If you want to pass a law, politicians will have to show the costs they put onto New Zealanders. For example, the earthquake laws put billions of dollars, bankrupted people, and yet we now know that those laws weren't really necessary. That kind of reckless lawmaking and hiding of costs will end, and New Zealand will be a much wealthier place and also a much more respectful place, because if you've got a project politically that puts a lot of cost onto other people, you're going to have to at least acknowledge that you're putting a cost onto someone, and that I think is a step towards being a more civilised society.
On the school attendance data, can you explain why you think it's partly to blame on the strikes?
Well, we were actually on track to do better than last year until the last week when teachers were on rolling strikes all week. I can't imagine that a teacher being away on Thursday wouldn't have meant that some of the students decided to take an early holiday on the Friday, where 200,000 students did not attend. It was also the worst term for winter illness since term 2 2022, when less than 40% of students attended regularly. We still got over 50% in term 3 this year, so we are doing a lot better even with record illness. But the reason we didn't do even better than last year, in my opinion, is because we had rolling teacher strikes in the last week of term, and one of the worst last weeks of term around.
And just on charter schools, so that sports academy, it's been reported that the charter schools agency signed a contract with a trust that didn't actually exist at the time. What do you make of that?
Well, it did exist. What happened is that there was a sponsor of the school that then changed some of its arrangements. They changed the name of their trust, and on the contract they still had the old name. So obviously a bit of a screw up administratively, but fundamentally the people are there, the students are there, the government's there, and that partnership will continue.
Do you have confidence in their processes, the agency?
Yeah, I do, because one administrative error, when they've opened nearly 18 schools at record speed, I think is pretty good.
Is the system being rushed to get as many schools open before the election?
No, I don't think they're being rushed for that purpose. I think they've been overwhelmed with interest. They've had over 100 different organisations that want to run charter schools. They've got to assess them all, contract the ones that we can afford to open right now, and then monitor how they perform. So there's a huge amount of interest in charter schools, which has put pressure, but generally I'm pretty pleased with the way the charter school agencies responded to that pressure.
Did you ask for a please explain on the administrative error?
Well, there's not actually a problem to be addressed here. I mean, the school's going to be there, the students are going to be there, everyone's very excited about it, and the administrative error can be easily fixed.
What do you make of criticism that with the whole charter school thing and how it's set up, that
the whole charter school thing, yeah.
that it's subsidising private businesses, because in this case it would be a private business that's sponsoring the sports academy.
Yeah, okay, but you go into any classroom in New Zealand, there's the carpet, there's the furniture, the textbooks, the computers, the other electronics that they're using. It's all provided by private businesses. So I don't actually see when people object to private businesses contributing to education, we do that in every school. So it's not really clear what their real objection is. Right, we've got you. Thank you very much, everybody.
Words for the new independent MPs? Have you been asked about Takata and Maria Mino now being independent MPs?
I have zero words or advice for them. They've become a joke and completely irrelevant. They've let down the people that they represent, and that's that.
Those two, or the party? Or?
Well, all 6 of them in their 3 different respective entities they now have.
Is that and the 2 in the middle as well?
Oh, look, I honestly don't have the energy to talk about Te Pāti Māori. We've got much more important things to fix in this country that really matter.
Actually, could we get a comment on the new record set for New Zealanders leaving the country? Does this worry you?
Yeah, it worries me enormously. I just make the point, before people try and politicise it, this trend began in 2021. It actually stabilised when the government changed. It's gone down a smidgen since we've been in government. The real challenge is, how do we turn it around? That means that we need to ensure that we have good financial management in the government, low inflation, lower interest rate. That leads to jobs and growth and opportunity, and makes people want to come here and stay here. So, I wish there was a shortcut, but there's not. We are doing the things required to turn around a trend that actually started 2 years before we were elected.
Can I just ask about regulatory standards, Bill? Sorry.
Love you
to.
too.
Do you have the full backing of New Zealand First? Winston Peters said something following the return of the Select Committee report, which was, it's better than it was, but we'll fix it at the next election. Do you have any idea what he means by fix it, or why it's not fixed already?
No, you'd have to ask him what his thoughts are on that. What I do know is that it is a black letter commitment of our coalition. All three parties are committed to vote for it, and it is going to be an enormous step forward for New Zealand. I mean, we have the Reserve Bank Act, so we know politicians aren't inflating away the value of your dollar. We've got the Public Finance Act, so we know they're not racking up debt on your account, and we have the Bill of Rights to make sure that politicians aren't making laws that violate your basic freedoms. The Regulatory Standards Act from tonight will be there to ensure that politicians aren't taking away the value of your property or wasting your time with red tape that doesn't actually stack up.
And can I just ask about implementation as well? There have, throughout its journey thus far, there have been some, concerns raised by different departments around the amount of effort, administrative effort and burden and cost and things that might go into carrying this out, carrying out the requirements under it. When will it come into force? Do you think that everyone has the resources needed to comply with the new law?
Yeah, I do. I mean, there's nearly $1 billion of policy advice given every year under any government, and they're seriously saying that they don't have the resource to ask what the impacts of their policies and laws on ordinary New Zealanders are. The real cost of regulation is the restrictions on New Zealanders wasting their time impairing their property. It's not the requirements for bureaucrats to actually be careful and transparent about the rules that they're putting onto all of us.
Has there been any discussion about whether one thing goes in order for this to come in? Like a department's going to have to make choices about.
Well, we're not doing a Donald Trump one rule out, two in, or two out, one in. But what it is going to do is make them periodically examine the law we have. Would we make it again today according to the principles of good regulation? I think that's really valuable.
And they have capacity to take that on with all their other work and potential cuts coming up for next.
Oh, I see. You're not talking about laws. You're talking about other work they're doing.
Yes.
Well, bear in mind, if you look at something like education, for example, when the Education and Training Amendment Act's been amended, I think almost 5 times just since we've been in government for 2 years. So there's already a huge amount of policy work going in. If they have to plan out how they do their policy work and line it up against a set of principles of good regulation, I suspect over time it will actually make their job easier. So, all right, thank you. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Just in a nutshell, can you explain for someone who doesn't understand what it is, what the Regulatory Standards Bill will do for the everyday Kiwi?
When politicians make a law, they have to be honest about its impacts on you, and over time that means that politicians are going to make laws more carefully so your life's not tied up in red tape that restricts your time and your property. Thank you very much. Cheers.